Okay, let's dig in. Today we're looking at some really ancient words, words that have resonated for centuries, offering this powerful sense of security. We're doing a deep dive into Psalm 91.
Yes, it's a fascinating text. Really gets into some deep themes, doesn't it? Like
Yep.
trust, protection, finding real refuge.
Exactly. And at its core, Psalm 91 puts forward this um, really compelling idea, finding shelter, a place of genuine rest under a higher power.
Right. It's about where you choose to metaphorically dwell.
And the kind of security the text says comes with that choice.
Mm-hmm. And what the sources we looked at really pick up on is how it immediately links dwelling in the shelter with resting in the shadow. Commentaries often note this isn't just like a physical spot, it's more a state of being.
State of being.
Yeah, a place of closeness, rest, and profound safety that comes from that connection.
And the text is pretty bold about it right from the start. It says, "He's my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust."
It really is. Sources point out that this isn't just wishful thinking, it's a strong declaration, kind of the foundation for everything else in the psalm.
So that declared trust is like the starting point,
Pretty much, yeah. It's presented as the prerequisite, and then the psalm starts detailing the specific dangers this protection supposedly covers.
which is where sources spend a lot of time, right?
Yeah,
Analyzing those threats.
definitely. It gets really interesting there.
It lists things that might sound, well, ancient. But sources see them as representing universal dangers,
Hmm.
like the fowler's snare.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Which gets interpreted as, hidden traps or maybe cunning dangers we don't see coming.
and the deadly pestilence.
Yeah.
That feels pretty relevant, representing widespread disease or sudden disaster.
It certainly does. Then the imagery shifts, describing protection in very physical terms, being covered with his feathers, finding refuge under his wings.
Like a mother bird, sort of.
Exactly. Sources often make that connection, like a bird protecting its young. And then it says your faithfulness is your shield and rampart.
Those are strong defensive words, like from warfare.
Right. Interpreted as this active dynamic trust being your defense.
And the list of dangers just keeps going. It mentions not fearing the terror of night.
Or the arrow that flies by day. So covering both hidden fears and obvious sudden threats.
Day and night. Then it's back to widespread problems. The pestilence that stalks in the darkness, the plague that destroys at midday.
It's comprehensive, isn't it? Sources really emphasize how this seems to cover threats at all times from all sources, seen and unseen.
It really does. There's this one interpretation sources raise that's, well, quite challenging,
Though, which part?
where it talks about acknowledging the reality of danger, like widespread suffering, but promises this extraordinary immunity for those who make the Most High your dwelling.
Ah, yes, where it claims disaster won't even come near you, even if thousands are falling around you.
Exactly. It says you'll only observe what happens to others. Sources really grapple with that. Is it literal? Or is it maybe hyperbole, just stressing the certainty of spiritual safety, even if physical things happen?
That's a major point of discussion for sure. It definitely escalates the promise, implying this almost observational immunity.
And then, if that wasn't enough, it brings in angels.
Right. Another striking element, sources definitely talk a lot about the angels.
The text says they're commanded to guard you in all your ways.
Even lifting you up so you don't stub your toe, basically.
Yeah.
Strike your foot against a stone.
That's incredibly specific. Is that meant literally, do sources think? Like angels physically stepping in?
Well, interpretations differ there. Some see it literally, others more symbolically, like divine providence guiding you, preventing accidents you couldn't foresee.
And then it talks about trampling lions and cobras.
It does. Lions and cobras, obviously powerful, deadly forces. Sources generally see that as symbolizing victory, real empowerment over major threats.
Things that would normally be, well, fatal.
Exactly, a result of that angelic help or divine power it promises.
And the text gives a reason for all this, doesn't it? Framed as the higher power speaking directly.
Yes, that's crucial. Because he loves me, I will rescue him, I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name.
So love and acknowledgement are the key.
That's what sources consistently highlight. It pivots there. It's not just about being in a safe place, it's about being in a relationship. Defined by love and acknowledgement.
Which means knowing, honoring.
Yeah, having that personal connection. And the results listed are huge. Answered prayer, presence in trouble, deliverance, honor, long life, and ultimately, salvation, rescue.
Wow. Okay, so pulling this all together from our deep dive guided by the sources, we've seen this idea of secure dwelling based on trust.
Right, and the huge range of dangers it addresses, both hidden and open.
Plus that striking imagery, wings, shields, angels overcoming beasts.
And it all circles back to that core relationship, that calling out and acknowledgement.
If we look at the big picture the sources present, it's not just a list of protections. It's painting this whole vision of refuge that starts with trust.
Moving from sort of external safety to this inner peace and ultimate rescue.
So, for you listening, how does this idea of finding refuge or dwelling described in this ancient text and filtered through these interpretations, how does that land for you in your own life?
Yeah, how do those vivid images of protection connect with how you think about security today?
And maybe the final thought to consider. How does this idea of such, well, total protection against snares, plagues, terrors, how does that relate to navigating all the uncertainty and, frankly, the real dangers we face now?
It's definitely something to think about, isn't it? Considering the text enduring message in our modern world.